Greetings, my paranormal patrons. This is the Monstrous Feminine Podcast Patreon, a space where horrible humans talk a little bit more about horror. My name is Tyia, and I'm joined by my Coven,
Mila,
Louisa,
and Zeba.
And this is our first ever Patreon episode. Thank you guys so much for being patrons to the arts. It makes me feel like I'm in medieval Italy.
in this episode, we are revealing some behind the scenes about the Monstrous Feminine. So if you want all the goss, how we became friends, how we started the podcast, what's changed since we began, stay tuned. So we reached out to you on Instagram and we asked you if you had any questions about the podcast or about us. A lot of you asked how we came to be. So we'll all now tell you the age-old tale of our beginnings.
how we were born. It's our birth story.
Is it age old? I guess it's more than a year old. This is important because there was no indication that this was a podcast class in the name of it. I remember it was like digital and traditional broadcast.
Yeah, it was like digital communications and broadcasting or something.
And I'm gonna tell a radical truth. I got into that class and was like, oh, this is about podcasting on day one. And then I was like, that's fine. I love podcasts. But I was not aware up until that moment.
Babe, you didn't read the fucking description, I think.
No, because I got bumped from other classes and that's why I picked this one.
I feel like we need better context. We went to university together.
We need to back up. The podcast started as a university project for Dr. Casper Melville's class. We all were at SOAS together and all doing an MA in media and communications, some variant of it.
I told Zeba I wanted to switch out of one of the classes that I was in because I was like, I don't really want to do it, and I kind of want to put all my classes on Monday and Tuesday, which in hindsight was a choice.
You're so picky.
But, and so Zeba recommended the podcasting class to me, and I emailed the guy persistently and showed up at his office. And then on my first day in the class, Casper was like, write your ideas on a sheet of paper. And then we're going to read them out loud. And so I wrote down the Monstrous Feminine, and then we got into the little groups and pitched it to Louisa's group with Marina, who was one of the editors on the first episode.
Wait, should we talk about what some of the other, like, original of our podcast ideas were?
I was about to say my Succession podcast that did not take off. No one in the class has seen that show except for me.
What were the other ones? I don't even remember the other ones.
I wanted to do a deep dive into...
Oh, I remember yours.
No. Oh, I remember this.
I wanted to do a deep dive into the Rihanna industrial complex as constructed by Jay-Z in comparison to, I still think this is relevant, Kanye West's mentorship of Tiana Taylor and why Rihanna succeeded and Tiana didn't. And like what male producers do in the music industry and how colorism plays a part. Listen, this is something I will still do when somebody wants to pay me to do it. The deep dive is there and I have the evidence and I have the research, but I'm not doing it for free. So, and also no one wanted to do it with me.
Tiana Taylor should have been like so famous, more famous after Fade. That changed my whole entire life.
Oh, I remember where I was. I remember how I felt. I revisit.
That's what people say
that
when they
video
talk
often.
about like 9/11 happening, but you're like, no, 2016 Fade.
2016 was a really amazing year for music. I think Lemonade also came out 2016. I remember where I was for that.
Oh, that was good.
Louisa and I did the same degree course, so that's why we already knew each other.
We kind of knew each other. I was really, really shy, and I did not have any friends properly yet on this course. And I was like, I know this gal. We had a whole module last semester, but I did not sit next to her. So, but then you and Marina, who was also in our core class, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I was a little baby and I didn't make friends in last semester, so I'm going to do it this semester. So I literally went up to you and I said, can I be friends? Like a toddler.
I don't remember
And
this.
you said, I know you don't. It's such an insult. And I said, can we be friends? And I'll sit here. And you were like, yeah. And then I was like, cool, got a friend.
No, I remember I had like a good impression of you from our other class, but because we had like quite a strict seating arrangement, there's only like 12 of us in the degree.
So strict.
We were opposite from each other. But like when we did our introductions, I was like, she seems cool.
Louisa, you were originally in the breakups group.
I wasn't going to be in the Monstrous Feminine. I picked the group.
I also wasn't going to be because I missed the class.
Did you?
Listen, I'm selective. If I know the quota for how many classes you need to turn up to, then I will exploit it.
Mila, that's not true because... Okay. Then maybe I said, can I be friends to Marina? And she said, yeah.
I think you did, because you were sitting with Marina and Tom.
Yeah.
And me and Zeba came over to you
For
guys.
the first class.
For the first class. If you said you didn't go...
No, I did to the very first class because I sat next to Bill, not you.
Okay,
I
then
didn't go
no,
to
it
the
was
second
you.
class.
This was the second class because I missed the first class.
Sake.
Louisa, you made up our origin story. How could you?
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Marina and I had a very touching origin story. Sorry, guys.
It wasn't touching enough for you to not know who it was.
No, I think it was you.
Zeba and I have a cute origin story. And we can actually remember it.
Okay, oh my god, no shade.
Is our cute origin story is literally like, oh, you're another black person? Let's sit
Yes.
together. That was it. And we said it so explicitly upon meeting each other. Like, we looked around, made an assessment of the room, and was like, okay, so this is what's gonna happen.
Tyia, didn't you say in the Pride episode that if you get two black men in the room, like two black queer men in the room, how likely is it that they're even gonna date? And you're telling me that you two both were like...
Listen, we like looked at each other and we were like, we're sitting next to each other. And then directly after class, it was like, hey, do you want to go get something to eat? And I was like, yeah. And that's how it happened.
That's really
But we met like early days, like maybe even the first week.
Yeah.
Well, technically, Mila and I did too. We just didn't talk.
We just didn't talk. All I remember is that I knew that you were gay.
How? Who did I tell?
Wow, clocked.
No, but to be fair, you mentioned something about lesbian literature, and I was like, okay, okay.
I did. I do that right off the bat. So I usually do that in public spaces. I'll be like, so how about that scissoring? So that people don't assume I'm straight. Remember when Tyia misremembered me from the first class in that she thought I was originally from Idaho?
Listen, I swear you said something about Idaho. I was like, that is so random. How did she end up from Idaho?
We should say where we're all from, because I think that would clear up a lot.
I'm from California, and I moved to the UK when I was 14, and it's been like over a decade. So that's why my accent is confused at times.
I am...
Tyia, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Was there something you like to share with the rest of the class?
I'm from Georgia.
The peach.
I briefly lived in Hawaii until I was 4 years old, but I
didn't
live
know
in
that.
Georgia, so we learn something new every day, girlie.
Wait, what?
But I'm from Georgia, so I guess that's the accent I have, but not really also.
Can I say that most people who talk to me about the podcast say that they love your voice specifically because it's like
so nice.
It's like soothing.
Like
they say they're like, yeah, it's like smooth and soothing.
Aww, that makes me so happy. I hate listening to my own voice.
I feel like all three of y'all have very soothing voices. This is like from editing them. But like, no, you do.
Yo,
but, like,
you do, and Ty does, but I do not.
I have come to terms with my voice now from recording that I'm like, I know who that is, and I don't hate them.
I don't hate them.
I love that I can distinguish your sound waves when I look at the edit.
My sister
intimate.
legitimately thinks Mila and Louisa are the same person. And she's like, who's the British one in this episode? And I was like, they're two different people.
I don't see how.
She also like interchangeably calls you each other's
It's because
names.
sometimes you slip into like a more English accent.
Mila, where are you from?
I'm from England.
She's not gonna say where.
That's private information.
Tell us how you got the Queen's English.
Yeah.
From the Queen herself.
But to clear things up, Mila is not white, she is Italian.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd have to come out as white. I think one of you pointed out that there are no images of me on the internet, so yes, I take partial blame.
There's one. If you care enough,
There
you
is
can
one, and I
find it.
might delete it, so...
fully assume you were a puppy if I looked you up, because that seems to be your number
Or
one
a
alias.
cookie.
A cookie. Oh, yeah.
I am white, and I don't even know how to elaborate on that, but I am
You don't need to.
token white girl.
I maintain that you're biracial because you're Italian.
She's biracial.
Zeba, where are you from? I feel like you are from so
Oh,
many
gosh.
states.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved around the Midwest mostly. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Michigan.
She says already.
I have flat A's. I sound Canadian. That's a pretty Midwest thing. But it's like not full Minnesota. I went to high school in Minneapolis, so I was in Minnesota. We have green bean casseroles and,
Don't
deep
you know?
fried cheese and, that kind of thing.
No.
And I went to college in New York, and then we were all in London. I didn't pick up the accent. I didn't have time. I really tried, though. There were so many to choose from.
Can you or Tyia do an English accent? Tyia sometimes does it randomly in our episodes, and she's quite good.
Yeah, but her version is like very Florence Pugh. You know what I mean?
I think my real question is, like, Mila came out as white, but when is Tyia just gonna come out? Like, period. Like, you can only have so many girl crushes for so long.
Yeah.
It's Florence, it's 50 Shades.
It's
What's her name?
Dakota
Yeah.
Johnson.
Let me live.
Even in like the queer episode, you had an astute observation of what makes something queer, and I was like, tell me.
I saw a video on Queering Time this morning, and I was like, oh, bet. I'm gonna be late for everything.
It's my service to the queer community is arriving late.
I thought that was a person of color thing.
It's both. Because it's like
Okay.
dealing with trauma just makes you slow to do tasks.
I just thought like no one gives a shit.
Also, it's like anti-capitalist. Fuck time. Whatever.
Yeah, fuck time.
I'm really bad about being on time to anything.
You were late to this very episode.
Yeah.
It's not my strong point.
Tyia, I want you to tell everyone how you thought of the monstrous feminine.
I did a course that was like gender and sexuality in film during my undergraduate career, and we briefly did a very small segment on horror. And since I've always liked horror films, I've always like kind of thought it'd be cool to do like a feminist horror film type podcast, and that's how I got the idea when we pitched it to the class, because in like the small groups we got in with Louisa and Tom and Marina and Zeba and I, we ended up choosing Tom's idea and the monstrous feminine. And then when it got pitched to the class, we just kind of formed a group. Like me and Zeba obviously went to my idea because everything else we just didn't really like as much. And then another girl from our class, Mila, came on, and Marina came. Louisa left the breakup group after seeing it was
I broke up with them.
not what she wanted to do. And then Mila kind of just showed up out of nowhere, and I just presumed she was there the whole time.
I feel like y'all three have like definitely like had at least one foot in like in the film world or like film analysis or whatever. I've never taken a film course in my life.
What? You went to like Sarah Lawrence. Isn't that like a big artsy school where they talk about film stuff?
I took a filmmaking course. I didn't take like any film analysis.
One of the other questions, and it will fit nicely in now, is your background. So I think like in terms of what you studied.
I was in a different school and also a different program from the three of y'all. So I was in critical media and cultural studies. So like that's literally just like criticizing the media, like being a cultural critic. That's what we do on this podcast anyway. But like I guess I was taught like film and then like all kinds of, other whatever. But like I would just like do the media studies. Whereas I feel like y'all have like been more film specific. But I feel like for the horror thing, I love horror movies. Horror movies are my favorite genre. I feel like I have one foot in the valley of death at all times anyway.
Zeba, what did you major in at Sarah Lawrence?
Sarah Lawrence is a clown college. We don't have majors. So like I got a degree in liberal arts, but I studied nonfiction writing and sociology.
I studied political science, and I got a minor in film and media and on anthropology in my undergrad. And at SOAS, I did global media and post-national communication.
My educational background is in English language and literature at King's for my undergrad. I didn't actually have a specific film studies class, really. I did, I think, a course called Literature and Media or something, or like I did general theory, and I think we talked about film sometimes as text, but I didn't really have any specific course on that. horror was a complete new thing. I was like, I want to learn more about it. As in, I'd seen some horror movies, but I was always coming at it from a feminist angle, and that was like, I started with Alien, and I thought that was a nice as in, I kind of came from it from like the feminist theory entry into horror. I didn't really come from it as like, I watched horror at sleepovers, because I didn't. It scared me, and I've only like gotten better now.
But you were a feminist at sleepovers. I was sitting there watching movies, not being a feminist. So we all contribute in our ways.
And then now I was doing a global creative and cultural industries degree at SOAS, and that's a really broad title, which basically means do whatever you want in media. And in general, I do writing and editing things where I talk about art issues and current affairs related to the Black diaspora and the queer community.
For my bachelor's, I studied film analysis and criticism in the Netherlands. And then for my master's, I studied with Louisa. We did the same, global creative and cultural industries. And I like horror films, as in I like grew up watching them and enjoying them, but I'd never actually studied the genre within film theory. I'd read Creed at uni, actually.
When I was in the film class, that made me think of the Monstrous Woman podcast in my undergrad. I did a project on I Love Dick, and it's so good. And it's got Katherine Hahn. And I did it for my project, and I analyzed it, and everyone laughed the entire time and just kept saying, she loves dick. And we were in college. If you guys want to watch it, that was also a slight origin of this, because like how much fun I had discoursing that, despite the fact that everyone's being trolls, made me really be like, oh, I really like dissecting feminist work.
Someone asked also, why wasn't Zeba in the first episode?
I was in the first episode at heart.
So Zeba was on the editing team with Marina, and instead Mina was hosting. But then those of us who wanted to continue with it, which was us four, then decided that we should just all be hosts. So Zeba came in front of the mic, had a grand debut in Ep 2.
It's also because the studio only had 4 mics and there were 6 of us.
Oh yeah, that's true. We were limited. Yeah, so we filmed, you might know, because you can tell by the fucking quality. We started out in a studio at SOAS, and then the pandemic hit, and we could do no more. And now Tyia and Zeba are in the motherland, so it's just sad.
The motherland?
Who's?
Listen, we can't get into racial diaspora discourse right now. I'm just being okay, where you were born.
I love how we both had the same response.
Tyia, this was you and me in that diasporas class. That was literally us every single day be like, motherland, who's? Never heard of one.
Okay, I'm sorry. You guys are in the States, and so Mila and I aren't even in the same, realm of England, so we all have to record remotely still, which is sad. We'll never again taste that sweet, sweet studio.
So one of the questions is, why the focus on horror and not film more broadly? I guess Tyia already answered that. But what I actually really like about our podcast is, if I do say so myself, speaking as a third party.
What I love about us.
Yeah. I like that it's, obviously we've carved out the horror niche and we talk about horror films, but we're not all hardcore horror enthusiasts, and we don't just come at it from a very straight on horror perspective. We do widen it out a lot, and we're more like a pop culture podcast who talks about horror films, and that's what I like about us.
And we're above it enough to critique it when it needs critiquing. We can critique the whole genre, I feel in a way that other people won't. We'll be here's what's wrong with it and how it's always wrong. I feel we hit that on a couple of episodes where we're just this is a pattern, and we can identify the patterns more easily. But we also, I feel we do cut it out. Maybe the bonus episodes, we do get into other movies that we do have to end up cutting out.
If we were given free reign, we would obviously talk about every fucking thing under the sun, and it would be 12 hours.
Our films to talk about list is so long. Imagine if it was every genre.
Oh,
We'd
my
never
God.
stop.
Yeah. There's so many Lifetime movies as well that we could throw in there with it. And then it can be a bad movies and a beat, basically.
You mention her all the time.
I know.
You're such a
When
stan.
Kitty JD finds this, I'm gonna cry. When she finds this podcast.
But what if she does like bad podcasts in a beat and then we get red?
I don't think she will. I think she'll probably find it when she does a horror film that is bad. Probably like that Black Christmas remake or something.
Okay, next question is...
That or Florence Pugh finding the podcast.
Stop it. It might happen, you never know. Next question. What's your favorite thing about each other?
I'll go in order of how you guys are on my screen. So I'll go Zeba first. I like Zeba's sense of humor. I think my favorite thing about her is that she's so carefree and she's just able to authentically please. She's able to like authentically be herself all the time, and it just brings like such a nice warm presence in every room to like be around her, and it just makes you happy. For Louisa, I'll say I love that she is always organized and I can always count on her to be able to do something because she's always on top of it and she catches my slack. And for Mila, I love that she is...
Great.
She is my partner in bromance. She is the wind beneath my wings. She is...
Okay, can I just say that this is why I didn't want to do this, because mine sucks. I just got that you're organized and like anal about everything, and Mila gets like a whole romance. All I bring to the team is timekeeping.
Not just timekeeping, organization. Like, you actually do have you make me feel extremely secure. Like, you have a sort of maternal energy.
No, not a mom. Like your fun older cousin.
It's not quite maternal, but there's like a sense of... You're looking after us.
Like, I would trust you to have the snacks that I need on a road trip.
The nuclear codes, I would trust you with.
Okay.
I would trust you to drive us across the country because I know you'd be safe.
We should write Louisa a letter of recommendation for all these job interviews we have coming up. We're like, I would trust Louisa with my life. With the machete on the zombie road trip.
Tyia, I love... Obviously, you're one of the most wholesome people on this earth. You have like a sort of fluffy blanket quality to you, and I feel like maybe some of that is this sweet like southern voice as well, just like wraps it all up. But also like, yeah, we vibe on a pop culture level, which is very important. Zeba, I think you have like one of the most interesting outlooks on life of like people I've met. When we speak on the podcast, I can pretty much like guess what Louisa or Tyia will think about something, but you're always the most unpredictable in what you say, but it's also there's the thing that will like kind of like make me reevaluate things in my life. So yeah. And your tweets. I like your tweets.
Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Thought Leader with a 0 instead of an O and an underscore between the words.
Zeba, you are a clown. One of the funniest people I have had the joy of meeting. So I agree, I never know what you're going to say in a good way, and it usually makes me laugh. So, Tyia, yeah, very wholesome, very, like, sweet, I guess. Yeah, like, sweet. I'm trying to think of, like, what would be I'm trying to think of, like, one definitive thing, and it's actually quite hard. Very sweet and very thorough, and you always have, like, something, like, thoughtful to say, either, like, to us, like, as friends, like, in a nice, warm way, or about the film. Mila,
Don't think too hard.
I think you're really kind. Like, you always try to accommodate everybody and, like, make everyone feel good, and you always need that person in a friendship group.
Mila's like, please stop.
You act tough, but I know. You're a big old softie, really.
I am a softie.
You're just really hard to break through.
So, Tyia, you really just, like, wear your heart on your sleeve. I was going to say you were transparent, but I thought that was a bitchy way of saying it. Like, you really, like, I feel like you say what you mean, and not even, like, in a no-filter kind of way. And it's like, I'm saying it, and, like, you should hear it. Like, everything you have to say is, like, very important, and it's not just, like, your thoughts on things, it's also like how you feel and how you want to be seen and how you want to be perceived. Like, you will not allow yourself to be like misunderstood in any way, and that's what I love. It's just like such a unique way of being and moving through the world. Louisa, you're really that girl. You really are. Like, you really are the moment. You really are just, like, so intelligent, so hardworking, so brilliant, so gorgeous. I feel like all round, all of those things. I think you're going to get
compared. I need to do better.
I think you're going to get 3 jobs in a row. Mila, you surprise me every single interaction. I feel like the way that you're talking about, like, not even that I don't know what you're going to say, although that, like, isn't a component of it. It's always, like, 2 times better than what I thought it could be. Like, even when you just are making a post, I'm like, that is the funniest way of saying that.
Yeah.
That is the most, like, unique and brilliant way of, like, getting out what I was thinking, or even just like stuff you have to, the things that you are your favorites, or the things that you find interesting, or the things that you like find beautiful or upsetting about the world. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna add that to my tool belt.
What we liked most about each other was basically the same thing.
I don't know, maybe what about our birth charts? Like, we look at each other, we're like, didn't see that coming.
Y'all are some of the most interesting, sweet, thoughtful people that I've ever come. Intelligent, committed, amazing, stunning, never been seen before.
I feel like this whole thing can be a separate bonus step.
Genuinely, you guys are like some of my favorite people on the planet. Aww. Like, I adore you guys.
One of them is like dream dinner party situation. Like, what would you cook? Who would you invite?
Oh, I'll go first. My dream dinner party. I would make. I don't want to be basic here. I don't want to go basic and go pasta. I would say I would make some nice roasted potatoes with like a nice pesto on them, with like some nice steak. I'll go like an arugula salad with like nice grilled blood oranges.
Ooh.
And then for dessert, I'll go a flourless chocolate cake. I'd invite FK Twigs because I feel like she brings some really good wine and conversation.
I just want to watch her pole dance.
That can be the after dinner entertainment.
I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, who would be interesting to talk to in this? I'm gonna say Kai from EXO. I'm gonna throw him in there because he's also a dancer. And third, I think I'm gonna go Dev Hines, because I feel like him and FK Twigs probably know each other anyway, and so it'd be a nice conversation with friends that I can dip into, get some nice artsy talk.
So I would have somebody else help with that. I would do like a very elaborate potluck and a very elaborate like charcuterie board, and then I would really spend on alcohol to make up for the fact that I didn't cook and asked everybody to bring stuff. But with that in mind, I am inviting, can it be living or dead?
Yeah.
I'm inviting Rihanna.
You said that like the first person would be dead, and then you said Rihanna.
No, James Baldwin's ghost.
Yeah.
And yes, the ghost of James Baldwin. I'm gonna throw a wild card. I'm gonna throw a Ryan Murphy in there. I want to see him fight with everyone.
Whoa.
That seems interesting.
I'm gonna cause some drama because I want to see where the conversation unfolds, and then maybe like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. If he like made some spinach puffs, and I think his earthy energy would like calm the situation down. Yeah.
That's very thoughtful.
I do want to try the spinach puffs though, not gonna lie.
Yeah, they looked good.
Mila, do you have an answer?
I think for any dinner party, I would whip out some ottolenghi. I think it's a crowd pleaser. And I'd make tiramisu for dessert. I don't know who I'd invite. Maybe I'd invite no one. No, I'd invite you guys.
That is the most Mila thing to say, though. Like, I'd invite no one. I don't know. But if I had a dinner party in any capacity, I'd probably make lasagna, because that is, like, what I've perfected.
Is this normal lasagna, or does the lasagna taste like pennies?
I have never used the Midsommar love spell on anyone.
Explain how you got started making a podcast. We obviously had some kind of direction from the course, like in terms of using Audacity, and what else did we need to learn? Like some mic stuff.
It had to be under 30 minutes. I feel like that's a rule that we broke real hard as soon as we could.
We are 40. and our against advice, we were 40 minutes because we thought, like, we're gonna do what we want to do.
We still use Audacity, record on Zoom. I don't think we're like the most high-tech podcast out there.
Anyone can do it.
Okay, next question. Your relationships with each other, which we've touched on, and then what do you do outside of the podcast?
Our relationships.
You and Mila are dating. That's your relationship.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should have made that more clear.
Me and Mila are engaged. I recently bought a ring. Gonna propose in Amsterdam.
Oh, nice.
So I guess it's not a surprise anymore. What if people actually take us seriously here?
Then we just have to go through with it. Oh, no.
Mila and Tyia have a bromance. Zeba and Tyia knew each other beforehand.
Louisa, we have a degree shared, and that is shared trauma.
That sucks.
We all have a child that we share custody of called the Monstrous Feminine.
We are a four-way parenting group.
We share blackness and America.
What?
3. My 3 little slice.
I was like,
Louisa, do you remember earlier when I said I was white?
I would say Louisa and Zeba are a married couple, and me and Mila are a married couple.
I'm the first child who has to take care of everything.
That's so true.
Like the eldest, who's like has anxiety.
Zeba, you start. What do you do outside of the podcast?
Well, I'm moving next week from Philly to New York, so I would say that I just hang out in Philly, but now I just hang out in New York.
She's
and I work in publishing. I won't say what place.
Don't.
But I make books. I make the books happen. And then I just BJ chilling. I would say ask me in a week, because I feel like when you move to a new city, your life just changes so much, and the things you do change a lot. So I'm excited though.
I work in a very corporate-y job, so we're just gonna omit the details. It doesn't sound that interesting when being explained.
I didn't understand it when you explained it.
I have no idea what you do.
It doesn't sound that interesting, so we're gonna omit the details. Maybe I'll be doing something more creative in the future. That would be the preference. In my free time, I watch a lot of TV, like an unhealthy amount. I love reality TV shows because I just like to shoot the shit when I'm watching TV sometimes and give my brain a little rest. I love cooking and baking. I've been on the same knitting project for 2.5 years.
It sounds like a dating video.
Yeah.
I'm still knitting a mug holder.
Babe, how big's this mug?
No, child, I'm just bad at it.
That's so funny. I was picturing a giant blanket. That's so funny.
It's a mug holder that I just keep starting over because I keep messing it up. But when I get it, it'll feel very rewarding. And I'm still reading Normal People.
Don't
2.5 years later, I'm still reading Normal People because I just keep getting to like a chapter and then being like, no.
Just don't read it.
I know that it's supposed to be like a relationship goals book in some people's eyes, but that relationship is so toxic to me. It is so toxic and
Tyia,
so weird.
I want you to back up and think about how you just said your hobbies are finishing the mug holder and finishing Normal People. like that.
That's so cute.
No, I love that. Get the audiobook.
I've literally
that can help.
read like 2 books while I'm still reading Normal People. I was a reader like in my high school days when my identity was consumed with reading. But now like that I'm an adult and I had to read for college, like I don't care anymore. I barely do my course readings. I just can't be bothered. I love a YouTube video.
Your hobby is pop culture. How have you not said that? You are the pop culture queen. In fact, I feel like we should temporarily change the Monstrous Feminine to like a daily Love Island analysis.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, I am so excited for Love Island, and that and Too Hot to Handle have come out at the same time. Oh, back to the hobbies. We got off task.
Tyia, we didn't want your hobbies. We wanted what you do outside in terms of your job. We've done that.
I exist
You exist.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Louisa, where do you exist?
Where do I exist? I feel like I already said mine. I do writing and editing things.
Okay.
Mila, you're going to be like, I have nothing to share.
I am just doing like a few part-time jobs at the moment that add up to a full-time job.
This sounds like you're dealing drugs.
Yeah, what the hell?
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking to apply for a PhD come autumn.
Are we? Is that happening? Are you going to do it here in the UK?
I will apply, but it's not first choice.
Y'all don't have great funding there, I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I want you here.
I'll start in 2022.
Okay, then you can move away for them. I want to have a 25th. I want to have a party.
I'll be there. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh, wait, you guys didn't know me well enough when I had my 24th birthday. But Zeba knows it was originally supposed to be a 24-hour 24th birthday, and I gave up. On New Year's, I changed it because we went out for New Year's, and I was like, I'm tired, and like, I can't be in the club this long. Like, the UK makes it not fun because...
My favorite part about that club was there was a room playing black people music and a room playing white people music, and you could just, like, switch, and you couldn't hear the other from the other.
But the kids in the club in London are, like, so young. They're, like, 8.
Yeah.
They start at 18. So, like, if you pick up a guy at the club, he might be 18. And
I can't live like that.
25. So that feels a little bit too weird for me.
There's younger than 18 there as well.
You have to go to the ABBA rave where all the boomers are.
But then everyone's just going to be, like, a finance director at some company.
We can make that work.
One of them isn't so much a question as it is a request. Please do a Jordan Peele episode or a Twilight Zone episode.
I love Twilight Zone.
We did Get Out. We have not done Us.
I really like the radio series that it was based off of, Suspense. And, like, because it's a radio show, I think we could pull really fun sound clips from that, actually. That's a good idea.
Okay.
But I've been a fan of Suspense in the Twilight Zone, like, since I was a little kid. Because the Sci-Fi channel in the U.S., for every holiday, regardless of the holiday, does a Twilight Zone marathon.
Sci-Fi used to be a really good channel before it started only showing Sharknado.
Hey, put some respect on it.
No, I love Sharknado, but it should not be a programming block, right? It should not only be creature features.
Some respect on it.
I don't know if this is implying that we sound natural when we speak or if it sounds very scripted, but they say, is there someone that leads the discussion so that everyone can talk, or does it happen automatically? We have a script that has discussion points, but rarely do we stick to that.
Only Ep 1. We had Zeba and Marina behind the scenes being like, you missed out this point. But now it just kind of, we just run through like our notes.
Yeah, it's all sort of like tangents that end up being the podcast.
3.5 hours of chaos recorded that we trimmed down for you.
Another pro in Louisa's tally is that with your articles and with like your Creed search, is that what it is? Creed search?
My Creed search.
Inserted Creed analysis. I think it like anchors us a little bit.
Tyya's and I's notes in it like is what steers the conversation.
Yeah.
My notes have not been there in the past 2 episodes. But
That's okay. That's okay. They're there usually. I think that kind of gives us like a general overview of what we want to talk about, but we don't always talk about everything, and we kind of just.
Do y'all want to see my notes?
Hear.
This is my notes for both Thelma and The Hunger. It fits on one page.
But that's what I like from you. This is like our own personal film club, so we all genuinely want to listen to each other to hear what the other has to say, because this is the only time that we're discussing the films, except for Tyia loves to talk about it when she's not supposed to.
We forbid ourselves from talking about it outside the episodes so that we don't spoil everything. But then that also means the episodes are mad long.
Yeah.
So we like we don't know, we generally don't really know what we have inklings what we might think.
Sometimes we don't. Like sometimes we'll be like, how did everyone feel about this? And like the opinions are like drastically different from what we thought they would be.
I mean, I watched Possession thinking Mila's weird, and I can see you vibing with.
Also, Louisa's reaction to my liking Sugar Hill, I'm like, what can I say? Just, are you not entertained?
Thank you for listening to the Monstrous Feminine Patreon bonus episode. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, SoundCloud, and Spotify at The Monstrous Feminine Podcast, and on Twitter at The MonFemPod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts to be our next Witch of the Week. We also have a TikTok. Follow us at The Monstrous Feminine Podcast for more podcast clips and more fun. Brooms up, witches out.